to our presentation today. My name is Nathan Eliason, and I'm joined by Jorge Fernandez. And today we're excited to talk to all of you about bill of material management and how it makes it easy with PLM 360. So just a couple of housekeeping items real quick before we begin. At the end of the webinar, there will be a Q&A session, and we'll open the lines so that anyone can ask questions. However, during the presentation itself, if you do have a question that's urgent that you would like to get answered, please put that question in the question panel, and we have a moderator that will definitely get back to you and make sure that you get your question answered. So in this PLM series that we've been doing, about a month ago, we had a presentation or a webcast on the new product introduction process. Today, we're going to be talking about bill of materials. Next month, we have one scheduled for quality that we'll talk about a little bit later in the presentation. But these are the core capabilities with PLM. You know, it's a cloud-based tool that makes it real easy to get these processes set up and to start getting the process within your company and more organized, more process-oriented. And so we're going to be showing that today as we talk about the bill of materials. Now, when we look at the life cycle of a product, really at the beginning, you know, when you develop products, there's cost that is incurred. And during this time that the cost is incurred, a lot of the BOM is being developed. You're, you know, putting together all the different materials that are going to make up the recipe of your product. Then, you know, when you have the product launch, you start getting revenue, so you start recouping that investment. And then, of course, at some point, there's your break-even point, and you get positive revenue as your product is out on the market making money. Now, with PLM 360, because you know, what you really strive to do is to have better management over that bill of material. If you have better management of that bill of material, you can get to that launch date much faster with much less cost. And what that helps is not only is your break-even point sooner, but potentially because you were first to market, you have the potential to even make a higher amount of revenue over the lifetime of that product. However, you know, often there are different challenges that get in the way of us being able to compress that time it takes to get the right bill of material out the door and to start making money on that. And part of the issues that we confront are that a lot of times, you know, the bill of material has a lot of different parts on it. Some of the parts are ready to be released. Some of the parts have finished design early so that maybe purchasing can send it out to get a quote. However, there's a lot of confusion in the bill of material where different people throughout the organization aren't sure each item in that bill of material, you know, is it released? Is it still being designed? You know, if I send it out now to quote, is it going to be a waste of time because there's going to be some significant changes that are going to require us to go through that whole process all over again? And so that really addresses these first two pain points. In addition to that, you know, a lot of times the bill of material, it doesn't just magically appear all at once. It's actually a process where it has a beginning part that it starts out as, it gets refined over time, it gets changed, it gets enhanced, it gets added to. And as you're going through the development of the BOM, a lot of times it's important to be able to compare it to previous versions so that someone can very quickly understand what changes have been made, you know, why have these changes been made, and how can I act on that very quickly so that we can move this product development process along as quickly as we can. In addition to that, a lot of times different departments will have their own versions of the bill of material. So rather than pulling from the same core bill of material, they have all these different versions that may or may not get synchronized as different changes are made throughout the development process of that bill of material. And then also, you know, even after the product itself is released, we know that a lot of times changes occur consistently throughout a product's life cycle. And when those changes occur, it's hard a lot of times for companies to know, hey, when do these changes become effective? You know, what do we do with all of the stock that we currently have? Do we have to scrap it? Can we use what we have on hand? You know, all those kinds of questions about handling the bill of material. So with that said, with PLM 360, it really helps you to accelerate BOM development. It clearly identifies each item that makes up the bill of material. It clearly shows the current state of each of those items so that everyone within the organization can quickly, at a glance, see where they are in the development of the bill of material. It enables quick comparisons of your version bill of material. So, you know, when a new version comes out and you just want to real quickly get an idea, hey, what's changed? What do I need to act on so I can, you know, get new quotes, get new tooling made, you know, whatever the implications of those changes might be, you can very quickly grab that information and move forward with the process. It also provides a central BOM for all departments. So the different departments can tailor the way that they view that bill of material. They can make sure that they see just the information that's relevant for them. You know, they can make sure that they have the information available that is important to them for each item that's in the bill of material. But at the end of the day, they're all pulling from the same central BOM. So it's always up to date for everybody in the organization. And then just as importantly, when changes are made throughout the life cycle of that bill of material, it's clearly defined when every item in that bill of material will become effective. And at any point in time, you can even look at previous, you know, what was the bill of material like on a certain date of the year, and it will actually show you what all the effective items were on that date. So some very powerful tools to manage not just the bill of material and how it's viewed, but also how different parts become effective throughout its life cycle. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and pass control over here to Jorge, and Jorge is going to give us a demonstration on the BOM capabilities that we have in PLM 360.
Awesome, thanks. Thanks, Nathan. So welcome everybody. We're going to take a look at PLM 360 and BOM management inside of here, just like Nathan mentioned. And so we'll go ahead and start off here. You know, we're on our home page, and if you remember from the last, for those of you that were on the last webinars here, we can very easily and quickly get to our products page, and from there we can look at all the different products and start interrogating it a little bit more. And what we're going to jump into here is we have this graphics card from NVIDIA, the GT222, that we'll dive into a little bit deeper and take a look at its bill of materials. So when we go to the bill of materials here, in order to show you, you know, some of the things that Nathan mentioned, like the BOM view and when it's can become effective and when we can get that information, let me just introduce you to the interface a little bit. So first of all here, of course, we have our bill of materials, and we can go ahead and expand this down, and we have some quick buttons here to get us there. But you'll notice there's going to be some options we'll dig into just a little bit as well, where we can start comparing bill of materials, export an Excel file, add attachments, and even be able to start seeing from here, you know, maybe there's a specific date that you want to look at. Maybe you're someone on the shop floor and you remember you took a look at this a week ago. Now you want to see what's happened, you know, and we'll look at some of that when we're comparing as well. So to dive just a little bit more here, of course, you'll get some relevant information here, such as what revision this specific item is in right now at this point. And then some of these other columns, such as this one here, lets you know that there's an actual pending change order out there right now. And just by hovering over it, it'll start giving you just some information before you have to feel like you need to start clicking on it necessarily. So it's nice to get that quick upfront feedback. And a nice feature here is the attachments that come with this. Now, you know, an item could have came from another product, from a PLM product like Vault, let's say, ERP, you know, so some of this information can come from that as well, such as quantity and units. But if we look at the attachments really quick, for example, you'll see a few, maybe a couple that some of you are used to using already when you're doing bill of material management. For example, let's say a PDF. You know, if you're maybe creating PDFs from your drawings, this will allow me to attach PDFs to it. And what you'll see here, if I just scroll down, is some of the drawings that are associated with this bill of materials that we have here, so that you have all your relevant information, your go-to place for everything that pertains to this specific product. Just another quick example here, some of the attachments that can come in really handy for you as well, or let's say the 3D part of it as well. So for those of you that haven't used Design Review, it's the free viewer that comes from Autodesk that allows you to take a look at something like this 3D model, be able to mark it up, maybe measure it, print. Another communication tool for you, especially if you don't have CAD access, right, to be able to see exactly what it is you're committing to and what you're working with everybody else. All right. So now that I've introduced the interface a little bit, let's talk about a few of the other things that we can do inside of here. So if I go ahead and just go ahead and click on this sub-BOM, for example, we'll take a look at the actual items in BOM Workspace. Well, really quickly, how I know I'm in that workspace, you'll see it here at the top, items and BOMs, and we'll see more information on here. So some of the information that could be important for you, for example, is classification. What type of part is this? So what happens a lot of times is you might have, let's say, a standard component, and that standard component has specific data that you want for it, or specific workflow, maybe a change order process for that type of part. So that's what this will allow you to do, is make sure you have relevant information for that type of part. That way you don't have a lot of fields that are just kind of open, that will never get filled out, and it's just more things that kind of might strain your eye, if you will. Instead, you see relevant information. So it allows us to do that. You'll also see some information such as ERP data, if there's any cost and inventory data that came in through this. That way this will be your single source of truth. You would get that information in here. There's even Octopart integration for any of you that are more in the electronic space and use Octopart for your parts. There is integration with that as well. So it's nice that we have this area here, this item in BOM Workspace, to get all this relevant information when needed, depending on what you're using. And of course, you also have the ability to go back and say, well, where else is this item being used? So I can go to my Where Used tab. For those of you that are used to using a PDM such as Vault, it's a very similar aspect of this that allows you to see the top-level assembly or any other top-level assemblies that it might be in as well. And as any related changes that are going on, the change orders, you want to be able to quickly identify what those are. We saw them at the beginning. Remember, there was a little stamp that allowed me to see that. But through here also, I can take a look at this and navigate to it and get more useful information, as well as being able to see on here just some of the things that might be relevant to me as well. So if I go back to my Where Used, I can very quickly go back up to my top level and navigate from there as I need to as well. Now if I go over to Approval Workflow, this allows me to see what this item has as a workflow for a change order, for example. So through here I can see how it gets kicked off. It goes through concept, requirements, and so forth, kind of like a Visio chart that we've seen in the past. And again, what's really great about this is that it's configurable. So you're not just tied down to one thing, right? So this is one of the things that really sets PLM 360 apart, is how you're able to take this and configure it the way you need it to work, so that you don't have stage gates and stuff that aren't necessary for specific parts. So I won't go into the change order process fully in this webinar, but I just wanted to make sure everyone understood that that is a very powerful function inside of PLM 360 as well. Okay. So now let's take a quick look at some of these other parts inside of here. So let's say, for example, I wanted to take a closer look at this part right here. Excuse me. I can also click the wheel on my mouse, by the way, just a nice little tidbit for you. Their little tip is clicking the middle wheel on your mouse will open it up in a new tab, so you don't have to necessarily lose your place and have to keep hitting the back button necessarily, something I like to show usually. But over here, we'll go to the bill of materials of this specific one, and I want to start showing you how we can track changes in here. Before I start tracking the changes, though, one thing I'd like to bring to your attention is how you can have a different BOM view on this. And what I mean by that is, I might be a person on the shop floor, I might be a person in electrical, for example, and what I can do is bring up only things that are relevant to me. So if I'm an electrical person, it's going to bring up only electrical type components. Maybe I want specific columns to show up, specific descriptions, or maybe I don't need some of these or something like that. So again, this is something that's very configurable so that everybody within your organization gets relevant information, so that they don't look at something where they don't know what they're seeing, right? So it's a really nice ability here to be able to do something like that and give only relevant information. Let's move into the comparing of this BOM. And what you'll see here is it'll come up with a filter option that allows you to compare BOMs from maybe different parts. Maybe there's a very similar subassembly to this, and you want to see what those you want to compare what some of those changes were. Or maybe you want to say, I want to compare the working to the production revision. Or maybe we come in here and want to look at what are pending changes right now and compare those as well. So depending on how you're involved in this process, you can see relevant information again. I'll go ahead and hit apply so we can see exactly what those differences are. And sure enough, we'll see that there's some changes in here. Where this one, for example, if we kind of hone in on this one, there's different numbers in here. So this part was removed and this one was added. Right, so it's really easy to see that right here. I like to think it's pretty straightforward. You hover over this information and it lets you know that as well too. But to take this even a step forward, you know, there's people who maybe sometimes they see something new like this and there's things that they'd like to do that they're used to doing, like maybe seeing this in Excel. So a very powerful tool here is to be able to export this, open it up in Excel. We'll open up that one there. So it gives you the environment you're used to seeing when you're working with Excel. And now we can, oops. All right, now we can come over here and go to these different columns and we can filter these out. So for example, if all I want to see are just what the differences are, I can come in here, uncheck these filters. So it's a smart Excel file here. And I can look at only changes. That way I'm only looking at changes and I'm not getting confused with anything else. So I don't have to come in here and do this on my own. It creates this for you. I think that's another big powerful thing I've seen time and time again, where people will take these bill of materials and still have to massage it quite a bit. All you're really doing here is not really massaging it, but filtering it out so you get, again, relevant information. Okay, let's close out Excel. And finally, if I go over here to related changes, I can go to that actual change order. Let's take a peek at that. And we started seeing some of this information already, like, you know, the details, you know, some references if any are available. What team is responsible for this? Who's involved with this change order? So you're always able to track and see what's going on throughout this entire process. I can also go to affected items, and what this is going to give you is the ability to see all the different parts that are here and when they're being released. So I think Nathan mentioned earlier as well about being able to select when something becomes effective. You might have a long lead item, for example, that needs to be pushed forward sooner, and then other ones become effective on specific dates. So we can see and hear those different items and what life cycle they're on and the effectivity as well. Again, very powerful tools here to be able to let you get more a view and preview into everything that's going on with this bill of materials. So that really sums up here what I had to show you. Again, I wanted to give you you know, an overview of what the interface gives you, all the relevant information that you can get. We also saw how you can see specific BOM views depending on what department you were in, as well as, you know, when something is released, when does it become effective. It gives you all this information that's relevant to you depending on which department you are in. I'll go ahead and throw it here back to Nathan.
Okay, thanks, Jorge. Give me just a second. Let me. Sorry, folks. I'll be right there in a second. All right. So thanks, Jorge. Appreciate that. So again, just to recap what Jorge reviewed, you know, again, as we looked at the different items in the bill of material, all the time you could see what the current state of each item was. You could see if it was work in progress. You could see if it was already released. You could even see if there were pending changes, so that you were made aware, hey, I better be careful before I order a bunch of these, because we know that it's undergoing some changes right now. He was also able to quickly compare different versions of the bill of material and this allowed him to, quickly say, oh, I see we swapped out some components. I see that we're maybe revising this part, and it allows others outside of engineering to make the appropriate preparations or the appropriate calls that they need to make sure that everything will be ready when the changes get made. It was a central bill of material that everybody looked at. Again, they just tailored it for their specific needs so that they could quickly draw out the information that they need in order to get their job done. And then it was able to clearly define, at any point in time, what is my effective bill of material, what are the active parts, and of course that can even help also historically, so that if a customer says, hey, I ordered something and this was the date I ordered it on, you can go back and look at what the active bill of material was at that point in time, and you can make sure that you make replacement parts or other types of remedies in the appropriate fashion. So just a real quick recap of Autodesk PLM 360. It's an extremely powerful product lifecycle management tool. It's cloud-based, which means that there's no hardware or expensive infrastructure. Also, when there are updates, it's always up to date, so you always have the most up-to-date functions and tools available to you. Also, because it's cloud-based, whether you're at your computer, if you're on site at a customer, if you're at your kid's soccer game, and you need to approve some type of a workflow so that you can keep the product development process moving along, you can access it on any number of different devices, which makes it very convenient to get your work done. In addition to that, it has a comprehensive set of standard capabilities. It's not like you have to buy separate modules if you want additional capabilities. Everything is included with the single licenses that you purchase with PLM 360. And then it's also flexible. It's a straightforward configuration. It's definitely something that if you're interested in, we can help you with, and we can help you get up and running with PLM 360. We did also just want to point out that if any of you are interested in PLM 360 and want to give it a try and see just how much of a benefit it can give your organization, there is a PLM 360 free trial offer. And if this is something that interests you, feel free to contact myself or Jorge or even your sales rep that you have here at KETIV, and we'd be more than happy to give you further details and help you get set up to where you can start looking at how it can benefit your company. At this point, I want to go ahead and open up the floor for any question and answer. Andy, do we have any questions that are in the queue?
Yeah, Nathan. So there's a question that comes in that says, and I'm going to read it out loud for everybody. Can you roll up or total fields in the BOM?
Yes, so absolutely. So the good thing about PLM 360 is you can do costing. So you can have the cost set inside of your bill of material, and you can roll up those costs as well. And whether that's costing or it's quantities, all of that can be rolled up inside of your bill of materials.
All right. And the other question that I get a lot, and matter of fact, we get this on every one of our webcasts, is this available to view on demand later? And I'll take that. And the answer is yes. We also have a YouTube channel that we upload our webcasts and recording that you can watch on demand or you can share with your colleagues. There's a lot of good information. And matter of fact, I think there's even a slide that has all of our social media information that Nathan's going to show later.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Andy. And I'll talk about that here in just a moment. We did want to also make you aware that in December, on December 15th at 10 a.m. Pacific, we will have the next video in this series. It's going to be Take Control of Quality with PLM 360. So we're going to be reviewing how PLM 360 can help you with your quality management processes, managing closed-looped quality processes all the way from beginning to the end, from where someone reports a problem all the way to where it gets resolved. And that can handle things like return authorizations, nonconformances, corrective and preventative actions. All of that can be managed inside of PLM 360. And one of the most powerful parts of that is that it can offer some real robust reporting capabilities to others within the organization on, what are the quality issues that you're experiencing, and what are you doing to resolve those, and when will they be resolved. Also, as we mentioned a minute ago, we wanted to let you know, if you're interested about the PLM trial, please contact either myself or Jorge. We had our email on that previous slide, or your sales rep as well. And then, just as Andy mentioned, we do have quite a few resources that are available. We always have up-to-date news, new ideas, new thoughts that we present on our blog. So it's something that we post to quite often, and we encourage you to look at the blog and see what's new and what's going on. Also, just as Andy mentioned, we've been posting these webcasts, and we'll be posting this one as well as the ones that we have in the future. That will be available on our YouTube channel. So be sure to check out the YouTube channel and look at a lot of, and it's not just PLM, we have a lot of information that we have there that you can look at. And then also, if you'd like to join us on Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn, we have sites there where we post information. We post a lot of the thought leadership that's going on out in the industry, and we will work to keep you guys up to date on the different trends of what's going on. So again, we appreciate your time today and joining us on our webcast, and we look forward to working with you in the future.